Welcome to Northern BC Moments, a look back at only some of the many good news stories we brought to you through 2019. We begin with a family physician, Dr. Catherine TEXTOR, being awarded the Family Physician of the Year award. Each year, the award is granted to those family doctors who show commitment to their community by going above and beyond.
Hello, yes, I'm Dr. Catherine TEXTOR, and I'm a family doctor here in Prince George. And I'm also the physician lead at the Prince George Division of Family Practice.
It was her work with the Division of Family Practice partly that motivated her colleague and co-practitioner Dr. Siobhan Key to suggest she may be worthy of recognition by the College of Family Physicians.
I did the nomination because I've worked with Kathy for 10 years, more than 10 years now. And so I've had the benefit of seeing just what an amazing doctor she is. And I'm a practice partner with her, so I know she provides amazing care to our patients. But I've also watched her over the past few years advance family practice and advance medical care for everybody in the community, but also Northern BC through work that she does with the Division of Family Practice.
I was overwhelmed when I got the news that I had been nominated and won this award. I feel like there's so many other family physicians, for sure in our community and I'm sure across the province, that would be equally deserving. But I feel really honored. It's an amazing award.
This new funding from our provincial government will augment and improve the current after-hours services in a new, larger, well-equipped location close to the hospital and diagnostic facilities.
Dr. TEXTOR is also part of a new endeavour announced by the province in April, a new urgent care centre in the Parkwood Place Mall that, once fully operational, will provide emergency care to 8,000 additional patients in this community.
It's a really busy time in my work that I do at the Division of Family Practice. So I'm the physician lead at the Division of Family Practice in Prince George. And there's a lot of initiatives underway right now in what we call the transformation of primary care across the province. And Prince George is leading a lot of that work.
Dr. TEXTOR's passion is for full-service health care and the continuity of care, something she feels is becoming more and more distant.
Oftentimes now patients who are cared for in a family practice and community encounter a completely different physician and care team when they enter the hospital. They might have a different physician and care team when they deliver their baby. They might have a different physician and care team when they're receiving palliative care. Because pieces of what I see as our work, family physicians' work, is being pieced off into sort of subspecialized family practice.
Dr. TEXTOR will formally receive her award on May 19th, which is BC Family Doctor Day. CHERYL, JAHN, CKPG News.
Although not pretty break-in enters to local businesses were a part of 2019. Though most don't have happy endings, this one did. Shannon Wright, owner of Pepper Tree Hair Studio, fell victim to a break-and-enter theft on Wednesday morning. She received a call at around 5 a.m. of someone breaking into her store, and when she arrived, she noticed that a jewelry box containing pieces made by local Indigenous artists was missing.
I was shocked and felt violated and frustrated, and then I just felt sad too.
One of the pieces stolen hit Wright a little harder because it was the most expensive piece of jewelry her studio had ever purchased. $700 earrings by local artist Trevor Angus, which Wright had wanted to gift to her mother since the day they came through her store doors.
In there were these earrings, and so when I realized that, I thought, you know, things can always be replaced, and thankfully no one was hurt. But when I realized that, I thought, I wish I gave those to my mom.
And perhaps it was destiny, but the earrings wouldn't go far, as another local Indigenous store owner would find them.
I took my feet and I swiped it through of this little hill of the glass that was shattered in there. And here, right in the middle, these gold earrings were there, 14-karat gold earrings.
LEVAC received a call from a concerned cyclist who had biked by a jewelry box near Connaught Hill Park. He mentioned finding artist name tags near the box and knew that LEVAC carried pieces by Trevor Angus in her store. After she found the earrings, she did some digging, made some phone calls, and found out they belonged to Wright.
So I called Shannon. I said, I have your gold earrings. She says, oh. She said, I can't believe it.
I was shocked. I was shocked. Well, for one thing, she closed her business down. She went out to the site, and those are two big things in itself. Like to close your business down, to go help out another friendly neighbor.
WRIGHT is thankful for the return of the earrings, and as for the proud new owner of the pair.
So is your mom gonna get the earrings now?
Yes. So I told her about the earrings, and then I had told her everything else leading up to it, and I said, for one thing, we're not bringing these back in any display case, but I said, I really want you to have them. She was meant to have them, so she has accepted them.
Although this time may have had a happy ending, WRIGHT is planning on upgrading security at her studio after the theft. Veronica Beltran, CKPG News.
It was a marvel of modern medicine. Lily Palmer, deaf since infancy, made history earlier this year with a virtual way of checking up on her hearing implants.
Can you hear me with just the right one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's the voice of Dr. RAEGAN Bergstrom talking to Lily Palmer, her client from BC Children's Hospital in Vancouver. It's also the sound of history in the making. In a darkened room at University Hospital of Northern BC, connected with BC Children's Hospital, Lily Palmer is having her cochlear implants tested. It's a first in Canada, and it was no overnight feat.
More than a year ago, we were contacted by BC Children's Hospital that they were considering setting up telehealth as a possibility for the North, and would we be willing to volunteer to help them do some early testing. So when we were down south for one of our regular visits in Vancouver, they had Lily do just a bit of a test with the technology itself.
And this was the system's first true test, running a diagnostic of Lily's implants over hundreds of kilometers. When those 22 electrodes are tested and turn green, all is well. And it was a perfect maiden flight.
We can do part of what we used to have to do during a face-to-face visit virtually. So now we can have a patient visit our clinic that we have set up in Prince George there, and we can remote in and remotely control the software that they need to be connected to while we program their cochlear implants. So they don't actually have to be physically with us on the same site any longer.
The one I tested was kind of almost like FaceTime. Like, it wasn't as clear or advanced as this one. So, and the other one was smaller too.
Again, smaller. But this was, so obviously in the last year they've done a lot of work. And I mean, when we were sitting in that room with the big screen, crystal clear.
Yeah. Awesome. Perfect.
Lily has been clinically deaf since infancy and got her first implant 11 days after her first birthday. The family has had to travel between Prince George and Children's Hospital multiple times. Not anymore. Mom Andrea explains what this technology does.
Money saver, time saver, and sanity saver, frankly. So when she was first implanted, when they first get the technology in, you're expected to go down honestly every couple of months. And that's what we did for the first couple of years post-implant. So in her toddler years, it was a ton of travel.
We were the first to tell Lily and her mom that Lily was indeed the first in Canada to test this kind of technology.
You're the first in Canada to do this.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
And while Lily is the first to access this new technology, she very likely will not be the last. CHERYL, JAHN, CKPG News.
When we come back, a piece of 9/11 exists here in our city. The world was forever changed on September 11th, 2001, when acts of terror took the lives of almost 3,000 people and injured thousands more in the U.S. 18 years later and 4,600 kilometers away, and a piece of that history remains here in Prince George.
For 12 years, this truck has been with the Prince George Airport. The significance, it was a first responding vehicle at the tragic events of 9/11.
After 9/11, the Port Authority and the New York Fire Department looked at a lot of their apparatus, and because of so much ties to it emotionally, to the equipment. They got rid of a lot of equipment. Not only that, a lot of it was damaged and destroyed.
This truck fortunately wasn't destroyed and didn't sustain any significant damage, so it was purchased and rebuilt to put at today's standards. But a couple features have been specially made or kept, including this arm flash of New York Port Authority or Unit 37, and a plaque inside the cab with names of those who lost their lives from that unit.
Police Officer Stephen Hutchko. Police Officer.
A ceremony was originally held when the truck first arrived in 2007. Emotions were heavy then as officers came to Prince George.
Every year we go through it and remember the people who lost their lives there. And like I said, it's a surreal thing to be here and to do this, dedicate a truck to everybody, you know, that lost their lives.
And even now, 12 years after the truck arrived and nearly 2 decades since the events in 2001, it serves as a reminder to those who use it of why they do what they do.
Knowing what they would have been doing at the time, doing their job, their passion to save lives and to have what happened to them is just unthought of. And just imagine what they're going through. When I climb in the truck, I think about those all the time. You look at the plaque and you think about those people that gave their lives, you know, to save others in this instant. And I mean, that was a life-changing experience for the world, especially North America overall. So yeah, you do think about it every time you climb in the truck and see the names.
Old parks across the city were redesigned and replaced this year. And what better way to redesign and replace old parks than with the input of those who are going to use it the most?
Go, go!
This is Brinley. The 7-year-old may seem a bit young to be designing parks, but she can sincerely lay claim to Hammond Park because, well, she kind of designed it. It all started with a visit to the park with her older brother last year.
Me and my brother came here and he told me that the slide was gone and it really meant close to me. And then my Aunt Timora said, you should go down to City Hall.
So she did, with the intent of meeting this guy, Marilyn Hall. But he wasn't there, so she caught up with this guy, the supervisor of parks, instead.
I called Brinley, and she was, you know, very polite, asked me when it's going to be done, and it so happened it was scheduled for this year.
And he gave her some homework, asking if she would be so kind as to visit the other parks the city has replaced so far and tell him what she thought.
Sometimes you give those tasks and they disappear and they don't come back. Well, mid-April I got a phone call from Brinley saying, I've done my homework. And so we met at the park and with the design that we were going to be working on, and we did some alterations, and now we have a fantastic playground that's been had input from a 7-year-old that really is keen on playground structures.
So Brinley got her slide back and now runs down a few of her other favorites in the park.
The swings, because there are only one swing before of each. And the slide and that spinny thing. And the monkey bars and the zip line.
Chris BJORN says more work will be done to this park, like replacing the basketball courts. The replacement of Hammond Park represents the midway point of the city's parks replacement strategy. To date, 20 old playgrounds have been decommissioned and another 13, including Hammond Park, have been replaced. Another dozen need work, and BJORN is the first to admit he may have opened a can of worms with this venture.
I think anytime we can get some feedback in a positive direction on something well, for one, it makes our job more fun, and we usually end up with a better product. So I think it's a can that's worth having.
But this day isn't about City Hall. It's about Brinley's day at this park, which makes her very happy.
Because now there's a brand new park here that I really like. Now there's more people and not people inside the bedrooms playing on the electronics, kind of like me.
CHERYL, JAHN, CKPG News.
When we return, we take a look at a local Special Olympics bowler who made it to the Summer Olympics. It was a 4-year journey for a local Special Olympian, and her bowling practice finally paid off. Prince George's Linda Renner headed to the Special Olympics Summer Games, games that only come by once every 4 years.
I'm expecting to bring gold home. If it doesn't become gold, I'll take silver. So I'll take gold if I get it. If I don't, I'll take bronze or silver. Anything, I'll take anything and everything to come home with something.
Any medal, all the medals, give them to Linda Renner. The Prince George bowler is warming up for the biggest competition of her life, the Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi. It's actually the 10-pin specialist's second trip to Worlds after winning a silver in Los Angeles 4 years ago. She's clearly polished her techniques since then and is getting ready for another strike at the international competition.
This is what you do. I am excited to go to Abu Dhabi. I haven't been that far away from Canada, so it's fun. I look forward to it.
Special Olympics sports work on 4-year cycles, meaning Renner had to advance past regionals 1 year, provincials the next, and finally nationals last year in PEI. She's gotten by with her signature style and commitment to her sport, sometimes bowling as many as 9 games a week.
Team Canada actually issues a training program for our athletes. So Linda has had to train a minimum of 3 times a week. So she has worked on her core with Jay down at X Conditioning. She's worked with our rhythmic gymnastic coach to develop her balance.
The world's host more than 7,500 athletes from approximately 190 nations competing in 24 summer sports. The event also features around 2,500 coaches and 20,000 volunteers. Renner's coaches will stay behind as she joins the Team Canada roster, but they'll still be cheering for her from afar.
All of our athletes here in Prince George in the Special Olympics organization are really proud of Linda, and we're really excited to be behind her and just to cheer her on.
Renner is one of only 2 BC bowlers attending the Worlds. They run from March 14th to 21st, where she'll be straying away from Prince George's strike zone to try and strike the podium on the international stage for the 2nd time in her life.
Every score round for CKPG.
The Prince George Spruce Kings won their first Fred Page Cup in April, and when they returned home, there was quite the crowd ready to celebrate their accomplishment. This was the scene as the bus rolled into the rolling mixed concrete arena parking lot carrying the newly crowned champs. Fans young and old braved the conditions to show their appreciation to the Spruce Kings. The cheers only got louder as the doors opened and the team came out, led by captain and leading scorer in the playoffs, Ben Poisson. Coming up on Northern BC Moments, the King of Rock made an appearance this year. The King of Rock, Elvis Presley himself, made an appearance earlier this year and put smiles on the faces of those who lived during the King's reign.
I'm all shook up, ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. Well, my tongue gets tied when I try to speak, my inside shake a lot.
Elvis tribute artist Steve Elliott has been shaking up senior homes for 20 years.
How many Elvis fans do we have in the house?
The Elvis Presley era was not part of Elliott's life, but for many of those he performs in front of, remembering Elvis and his charisma brings back memories.
I'm all shook up, ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Elvis was projected a better time. You know, it's when good things were happening. You know,
They would go to the sock hops as kids. There was drive-in movie theaters. There was hamburger and hot dog stands, poodle skirts, bobby socks. A good time, right after the war.
Come over here and love me. You know I want you to say I'm gonna be cruel.
Much of the music Elliott sings pulls some people back to those days of sock hops. For some people, music has the ability to trigger memories for those with short-term memory loss.
Well, let's walk up to the bridge.
All these songs are in their long-term memory bank, so they remember the lyrics, they remember the tunes, and it just is so empowering for them, and it brings them back to some wonderful memories of their earlier years.
Well, I don't want to be a tiger.
And the music is like therapy. You'll see them sometimes sitting pretty docile, and then the songs come on, and they look up and they start to tap their toes or shake a little bit, and they smile, and they remember the songs. I even watched some of them saying the words with me, and then after I've changed and come back as just me, they may not remember it, but there's something that triggers those memories that the power of music has.
I don't know why my heart flips.
For Elliott, having the ability to move people emotionally and sometimes physically during a performance motivates him to continue to perform for those who have trouble remembering a music legend.
No such story, but my letter keeps coming back.
Dave Branco, CKPG News.
Thanks so much for joining us here on Northern BC Moments. Make sure that you tune in to CKPG News at noon, 5, 6:30, and 11 on weekdays. Happy holidays.